So do something that's very familiar just by going from side to side for a couple of turns. Remembering to lead with the navel. And you can lift your heels, or keep your heels on the ground if you don't want to sway quite as much. And your hands go where you want them to. They can go from side to side, or they can come slightly higher up to almost go around your shoulders, which is edging into the medicine side of yoga because it's more vigorous. And so it has a greater effect on your body, but of course then that links into your mind as well. And then come to stillness. Bring your feet comfortably hip width apart and lift and roll your shoulders. And raise both arms, clasp your hands, reverse them, press your feet down and raise your palms upwards. Breathing out, go to one side, come to the centre, and breathing out, go to the other side. Come to the centre, stretch up, and then if your neck allows, lift your head to look at your reversed palms. If not, just look straight ahead. Press your feet down, bring your head back to centre, and then breathing out, lower your arms to shoulder height. Breathing out, turn and look beyond the third finger of one hand. Come back to the centre, and breathing out, turn and look beyond the third finger of the other hand. Come back to the centre and then lower your arms, lift and roll your shoulders. And then we're going to bounce the heels, which sets a vibration up in the body. So it's 1, 2, 3, or you can continually bounce if you're feeling energetic. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then just go from side to side, but raising the arms. It's a slightly more vigorous movement. To do that, you might like to lift your heel slightly higher. Just slightly getting the circulation. If you do lift your heel off the ground into the toes, and then lower your hands, just swing from side to side. And then just focusing on the wrists and hands as you circle your hands up. Breathing out, circle your hands down. Open and close your fingers a couple of times. And then just shake your hands out. Just test your left-right brain coordination. Raise one hand and circle. Your hands will go into different directions. And then lower the hand and raise the other arm and circle. And you'll notice that your hands naturally circle in one direction and then lower. And lift and lower your shoulders. And then we're going to start this practice by coming to the mat. Come down however that works for you and come to a cross-legged position. If sitting cross-legged is not working for you, don't worry, then sit with your legs out. You can even sit on a chair if you were practicing this at home. But we'll take it that cross-legged is not an issue. And then just rest your hands on your shins and sit up. We're going to do a spinal wave, so it's like a seated cat-cow, breathing in as you sit up and breathing out as you round your chin to your chest. Breathing in as you sit up and breathing out as you lower your chin to your chest. Come back to seated. Now there are a couple of ways of doing this. That's one way. The other way is slightly harder work, so you adopt what method suits you. holding your hands on your shins. Your head stays the same, roughly. It's only your body that moves. So, in other words, your tummy or your abdominal muscles have got to do much more work to bring you forwards and backwards. So this is harder work. And from that, having experienced both, you choose which one you like. So whether it's this or whether it's rounding, completely involving your body, is totally up to you. And then come to stillness. Just bring your hands to your chest, just reconnecting your heart energy, and take a couple of breaths in that direction, in and out. And then lift and roll your shoulders, clasp your hands behind you. I think seated this is harder, but lift and roll your shoulders, just raise your hands behind you. In theory, you're sitting up or lifting your chin, but your head, it's harder work, so your head sometimes come naturally down, but just take a couple of breaths in this position. And then, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to explain this. Bend your elbows, so my right hand is behind me, and my left elbow is bent. And then extend your hands, and then bend the other elbow. And then just release. And then this, again, is quite helpful for the neck. Just slide your left hand out and tuck your chin to your chest as you're opening out. Your chin comes downwards. You can have your right hand, your other hand just touching the floor. You'll feel a stretch along your neck. Take a couple of breaths here. Come to upright and slide the other way. Chin in. You can hold your knee or you can outstretch your hand so that you have that stretch along the side of your neck. Then come back up, right? Bring your hands once more to your chest, lifting your elbows and opening them out. And then release your hands. Lifting up, slide one hand out, so this becomes a lateral stretch. You can stay static, or you can just slightly pulse the movement in and out, which might then become slightly dynamic. Tummy or lower abdomen in to support you as you come upright. Lower your hand and then just come to the other side. You can stay static or you can pulse in and out. Lower your hand. Once more, bring your hands to your heart and reconnect with your breath. It's a pause, a moment of stillness. And before we go on to the next section, we're going to come to, this time, lying on our backs, lying tree. So if you imagine a tree pose when you're standing, this is tree when you're lying. So we'll start on the left side. Come to lying. Your hands can be resting on your abdomen. Elbows slightly out. And bend your left knee, placing the sole of the foot towards the inside of the right leg. Normally in tree, you don't ever put your foot anywhere near your knee because it's a joint. But here we're not putting any weight on the right leg. So it's merely a token movement, the sole of the foot moving towards the inner right leg. And extend your right heel. And just for a few breaths, imagine only breathing in and out through your left nostril. If you find this difficult, raise your right arm and just close off your right nostril with your, it doesn't matter which finger here, it's just a gentle preparation. I'm going to use my third finger. But if you're good with your imagination, then simply just stay where you are and imagine breathing in and out only through your left nostril. So this activates the left side of your brain, left hemisphere, the left lung, because your elbows open to the side, you're creating more space, the left hip, the left knee, the left foot, everything on the left. And now just release if you've got your hand up and breathe through both nostrils. And take your left hand underneath your left thigh, supporting the left knee or left thigh to lift your left knee up and stretch your left foot out along the ground. Before we make the transition to the right side, just extend both toes up to the ceiling, point both toes away, both toes up to the ceiling, and both toes away. And then circle both ankles in one direction. And then very gently circle both ankles in the other direction. And then stretch your toes, extending your toes, and just release and relax your toes. And bring your focus to your right side as you bend up your right leg and open your right knee to the side. Again, if you're at home and you need any support under your knee or thigh, please take that. And then your hands gently rest on your abdomen, so your elbows are slightly out to the side. And focus, extend your left heel, and just focus now on breathing in and out, only through your right side, your right nostril. So if this is difficult and you can't imagine it, then just place your third finger of your left hand against your left nostril, lightly blocking the left nostril. Your third finger should come up and then drop down onto the part where the nose joins, the joins at the base of the nose. But I do realise that can be onerous on your arm, but so it's an option. Whichever you choose to do, just focus for a few breaths on your right side. So your right side, of course, includes the liver and the gallbladder, and in Eastern medicine they are associated with rising energy, and on the positive side they perform many functions for us, but on a negative view, they can be responsible for anger and frustration. And if that's not processed properly and you get overstressed, it can lead to, well, stress and the whole body system, but particularly the digestive system, is overloaded. So this is opening out your right side, but including your liver and gallbladder. Your right hip, you can feel the opening. And I perhaps should mention as well that you've got, on the inner groin and under your arms, you've got lymph nodes. So you're giving space to your energetic pathways, which is part of your immune system. In specialist yoga for cancer, they will have you sitting with your energetic pathways open, either like this or in full Baddha Konasana, where the soles of the feet together and the arms are open, to give energetic space for your immune system. And you'll stay like this every day for a few minutes for a long time, weeks, if not months, before you move on, because they value this so highly. But very gently place your right hand under your right thigh to support the right thigh and to lift the right knee up. Bend both knees and then hug the left and then the right knee, or the right and the left, into the chest. And just very gently rock from side to side. And then rock slightly up and down. These are all very small movements. You're just hugging your knees into your chest and just letting the knees move away, still holding the knees. And then supporting the legs under the thighs, place both feet on the ground, one and then the other. And rest your hands on your abdomen, your elbows out once more as you just gently roll the knees from side to side. Your hip will lift slightly to accommodate this movement, and how much you let your knees drop and your hip lift is up to you. And then you can stay like this, or you can optimally bring your head in, or it's an optional movement, as well as optimal. You can let knees drop to one side and your head move to the opposite direction. Head and knees come to the centre as your knees drop to the other direction and your head turns away from your knees. Just very gently go from side to side. So this movement is supporting your spine, but you're just exploring the base and the top of the spine. And you're exploring the movement to your capacity. So a very safe movement. And then come to the knees being centre, hug the knees into the chest. Once more, just to enjoy that hugging in. So I should say, yoga for pain, hugging the knees into the chest activates a lower abdominal energy. It's called apana, and apana in the medicine side of yoga, so Ayurveda, links and connects to the Vata dosha, and Vata is movement, so Vata is responsible for pain. So hugging your knees into your chest, semi-supine movement, is very helpful anti-pain. And if you think about it, it does imitate the fetal position that you're hugging in. We are going to come to standing, so just roll very gently to the side, come perhaps through to your knees, or come to standing, taking your time, and gently to however you might like to come upwards. No hurry. Roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Letting the blood and all the fluids adjust as you come from lying on the mat up to standing. And then lift and roll the shoulders. And just press your big toe and your little toes into the earth, which will then align all your other toes in theory. And just enjoy lengthening along the spine. This is an extension. Your head balancing everything, the weight should go evenly through the whole body. And then breathing in, raising your hands up. Hold it at the top, and then breathing out. Lower your hands back down again. We're all different because we're going to come to hold this pose, but for the moment just do this again and just notice if your hands feel that it's an effort and your head starts to go forward, then you might need to lower your hands and not bring them up quite so high. But this next time, breathing in, hold the hands up, stretching up, and just breathe here in and out. Press your feet into the ground, stretch your fingers up, stretch your thumb towards you and your little fingers away from you. Just notice as you press your feet into the ground how everything almost extends and stacks one on top of the other, and then breathing out, lower your hands. And then lift and roll your shoulders. And then shrug your shoulders. And then try one side and then the other side. You might find a preference. So shrugging the shoulders in this way, again, releases the shoulders and the neck, but it opens the energy gate pathways up to the head, so it's all calming for the nervous system. Lift and roll your shoulders. So this next one is come to stand with your left foot. Your right foot is out at about 45 degrees. Step forward with your left foot. If you feel a bit wobbly, then move your left foot out to the edge of the mat. Feel grounded. So your back right heel is grounded in. Try not to roll it inwards, which I know is very tempting. And then this is very gentle, breathing in, soften your left knee, raise your hands to where you feel is appropriate for you. You'll feel your back right hip stretch out. Breathing out, lower your hands. And again, breathing in, raising your hands. You can look ahead. If you feel steady and balanced and your neck's okay, then you can look up. Breathing out, lower your hands. So next time we do this, as we raise our hands up, we're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. Just notice as you move from side to side, slightly moving forwards and back. It's a way of steadying your body. If you look either forward or up, it almost becomes a back bend. And then breathing out, lower your hands back down along your side. Lift and roll your shoulders and step your left foot back. And then very gently reverse that so that your left foot turns out at an angle of 45 degrees. And you step forward with your right foot. And again, make that adjustment. Now we're doing it on a very gentle scale. So we're stepping forward a little bit. If you wanted a true yoga measurement of how you step out, it might be too wide for you, but it might be worth saying that as you step out, your ankles and wrists should be in line with one another. So you can step out a lot, then turn, but that might be far too much for you because when you drop your weight centrally, it's got to drop centrally, you mustn't come forward. So that is a true weight, but as I said, any modification is okay. So getting your balance, and then testing as you breathe in, soften your front right knee and drop your weight centrally, which means not coming forward onto your front knee. And you might want to adjust your feet to accommodate that. And then breathing out, lower your hands back down along your side. And then breathing in, soften your front knee. And breathing out, lower your hands back down alongside you. By the way, again, lifting the chest is uplifting for the mood, it's antidepressing. If you see people who are depressed, they're often bending forward, breathing in and breathing out, lower your hands back down alongside you. And then we'll just breathing in, soften the front leg. You can look forward or up and just take a couple of breaths here. You'll feel the space that's being created for your organs. Everything's being given space. You're not compressing anything at the front. And then breathing out, lower your hands. And then step back. And just slightly go from side to side. So this next one, again, there are so many modifications to this. When you bend your knees, you put your abdominal control on. And so when you put your abdominal control on, you are supporting your lower back. The chair pose classically is a pose that does this, but a lot of people can find it pinches on their lower back. So there are techniques to help you, one of which is as you bend your knees to move your bottom away, so it just subtly alters the tilt. Another way is not to put your hands up, which can be quite hard on the lower back, but to lower the hands either on the waist or almost a squat half movement. So, and even just bending the knees, tummy, or put your tummy or engage your abdominal muscles. So this one is taking, you can try a little chair. Your feet wider apart can be also helpful. You can try a full chair, depends on your capacity. And then, or you can try a very big modification here, that's lovely. And then breathing out, slide forward, keep your knees bent. Once you're down, you can think about extending your legs. If your capacity will allow you to do that, you'll feel the stretch on the back of your legs. Soften your knees and come back to chair. Your version. Breathing out. Come down, really soften your knees. If you don't want to go to the floor, just hold your shins. Press your feet down. And then breathing out. Come forward. Press your feet down and roll up. Just standing, if you do nothing more than tense your knees, you'll still feel the abdominal control on. So just stand, tense your knees, you'll feel the abdominal muscles go on. If you want to further get that sensation, put your hands on your waist and just slightly just bend and bottom away and just feel that lower abdominal engage. That puts your muscles on to protect your lower back. And of course there are other muscles around your leg being involved as well. So we are going to come into downward dog. So you can come to however you want to. Roll down, walk your hands out. Again, I'm going to show you, we'll come to your knees, because I wanted to show you how you measure a proper dog. Some of you might already know this. I can't do a proper dog to these measurements, which is interesting. So you would lie on the mat, have your hands alongside you, almost by your bust level, elbows in, tuck your toes, and that's your dog measurement. So we will adjust as we come up, but press your hands down, come to kneeling, tummy in, tuck your toes, and come into dog. It's a very long dog. Now I can't get my heels down in this particular dog. I feel very unstable, so I move my feet closer to my hands, or my hands a bit closer, so I'm a softer dog. My feet can go wider for the back, bend your knees, your bottom goes away from your hands, and then straighten your knees. Bend your knees, your heels don't have to touch the ground for dog. Lovely if they do, but they don't have to. And then straighten. And then bend both knees, come back to the ground, and come into what I call quarter dog. So elbows on the ground, bottom up, and just take a couple of breaths. If you feel that your head is hanging and you don't like that sensation of feeling dizzy maybe, put your hands together to make fists, and then rest your forehead on your hands, so you're not coming down quite so much. If you prefer the full, a stronger child, although the child's always restful, just bring your bottom to your heels and you can stretch your hands either out in front of you, I call that extended child, or you can just slide your hands so that the palms are upwards, which is a more classic child for me. And you can always have a bolster under your forehead to lift your head up. This is brilliant for headaches, by the way, because it keeps the blood in the head. And then sliding your hands back to your version of a dog. Press your thumb and second finger down. Lower abdomen comes in. Tuck your toes and then just slowly come up into a soft dog. Your bottom moves away from your hands and then begin to straighten your feet. Adjust your feet and then walk the dog by bending one knee, lengthening the other leg, bending the other knee. And you can sway your hips from side to side. Just note that your tummy or lower abdominal muscles are engaged, you're not letting it all hang out. And then gently bend the knees and come back down again to your version of child that you like. It can be quarter child, it can be extended child, it can be a proper child, whatever works for you. Just feel the stretch along the lower back, and child just opens up along the spine, encouraging you to breathe into your back, and of course your kidneys, your adrenals sit on top of your kidneys, so it's giving space in that area. And then sliding to your tummy, onto your elbows and onto your tummy, and come into Sphinx pose. So the further your elbows are away from you, the softer the angle on your lower back. But a classic Sphinx would bring your elbows in more. And you look along the ground, look down or along the ground. And you can just bounce your feet up and down. That just connects into the lymph system on the top of your feet. You can wobble from side to side, which is quite good for your sacroiliac stabilizer. And then just look down and take a couple of breaths. So a Sphinx is a back bend, in fact, but a very gentle back bend. In some yin yoga poses, so yin is you hold poses for a longer time, you might stay in here for up to 5 minutes, which is a very long time. But we're just going to stay here for a few breaths. And then slide the elbows out, palms on top of each other, or make fists. And just rest your forehead for a couple of breaths. Move your knees out a little bit to allow you to bend your knees, soles of the feet to the ceiling. And then just rock from side to side with your feet. So windscreen wiper washer movement. And then place your feet and legs back on the ground. You might like to move your knees slightly closer together. We're going to come, however you want to do this, to roll onto our backs with feet on the ground and knees bent. And we're going to come into a form of very gentle, what I call rolling bridge. So knees are bent, feet are on the ground, hands are palms down alongside you, chin is, on the back of the neck is long, so the chin's not sticking up. Just start with a couple of pelvic tilts, so pressing your feet down, flattening the back on the floor so that your bottom almost lifts, tilts up, and then releasing the other way so that there's a little gap under your back. You're very safely exploring your back movement, pelvic tilt. And you can carry on doing this, but if you'd like to take it the next step further to a modified bridge, then press your feet into the ground, lift your bottom, engage your perineum up, and your lower abdominal area will naturally come in, and then begin to raise your hands up above you. You can keep your elbows bent, or you could stretch your arms out, up behind you, the back of the hands will be on the floor or off the floor. Feel that your knees are not splaying outwards, that somebody's holding you on the top of your leg, or pulling you towards them, and then breathing out. Start to lower your hands and then lower your back down to the ground. And when your back is secure on the ground, hug your knees into your chest and just rock from side to side. And then place your feet back along the floor, hands alongside you. Press down with your feet, engage your perineum, energy goes upwards, lift your back, lift your arms up, tuck your chin in. You lift as little or as much as you would like. Really stretch And then start to breathe out. Then start to lower your hands and your arms, and your back down to the ground. And when your back has touched down, you can lift your knees, hugging your knees into your chest. And then lower the feet to the floor. And one last time, pressing your feet down, engaging your perineum, tummy, naturally your abdomen comes in, lifting up, and then start to lift your arms as well, stretching behind you. And when you're ready, lower your hands, lower your back. When your back is secure onto the floor, hug your knees into your chest and just enjoy rocking from side to side and up and down. You can also try keeping your knees together and circling your knees, both of them in the same direction, around a small area at the base of the spine, and then circling your knees the other way. But this is just a recovery time for you. And then place both feet on the floor by holding your underneath your thighs. Just rock your knees from side to side a couple of times. And your hands can be, again, palms down or on your abdomen. Cross your left leg over your right. How much you cross is up to you, and just sway the knees from side to side. This is creating a little bit of space, as you can feel that opening up at the base here. You can let your knees really rest down to one side. And you'll feel an opening in the opposite hip. Come back up to the centre. You might have to use your hands to secure you. You can try the other side. Your head can stay looking up, or it can look away from the direction of your knees. That's an option too. Coming back up. Uncross your legs, and then cross the right leg over the left. Just sway your knees from side to side. And then let your knees, both of them, go down to one side, to your right side. Just feel the opening along the left side as you do that. And you come down as little or as much as you'd like. Take an in and an out breath. Come back to the centre, and then just let both knees drop to the other direction, to the left side. Just see how that feels. You come as little or as much as you would like. Difficult, I know, but try and keep anchoring your shoulder on the ground. I'm saying that, but I noticed I wasn't doing it, but it's just a guide. Bring both knees upwards. Uncross your legs, and again, once more, hug your knees into your chest. Place your feet on the floor and walk them out so that you're lying on the floor, and raise your arms above you so that you're stretching up. You can either hold your wrists or you can clasp your hands with your index fingers pointed upwards. It doesn't really matter. Just walk your both feet over to one direction, and you'll naturally resemble a banana shape. And then walk your feet centrally and go over to the other side, so that you're representing almost a crescent moon shape. Just slight lateral stretch from side to side. And then come back to the centre. Lower your arms back down alongside you. And you can either stay here, resting for a few breaths, or particularly if you've got lower back issues, you might like to bend both knees and rest your knees together with your feet further apart in constructive rest, or just have your feet normally hip width apart and your hands resting either palms up alongside you or on your abdomen. Just take a couple of breaths here, reconnecting with your breath. Imagine breathing in through the navel and out through the navel. And then just gently raise your hands towards your chest. And again, focus at the chest and the heart level, breathing in and out. And then once more, hug one knee and then the other knee into the chest, just rocking from side to side. And then to bring the lesson to a close, I'm come to a seated position. But if you're happy on the floor, then please do stay on the floor. It's entirely up to you. So coming to your preferred position, just drift off if you want to, or just come to a seated position, and once more bring the hands to the heart, the chin to the chest, taking a bow for yourself. Have a wish for the day and just mentally repeat that to yourself a couple of times. It can be for yourself or it can be for somebody else. And then just release and relax your hands, and thank you very much for joining me today.